So last week it came to me that I needed to speak about peppermint essential oil. The oil kept coming up in conversation and in cooking. But first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about a medical disclaimer. So the information presented here is for informational and personal uses only and should not be assumed or taken as medical advice. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. So first, I heard from a friend who has recently started using essential oils that she made herself a smoothie and shook the peppermint oil bottle, adding many drops of the oil to that smoothie. And boy, did she learn that that was not the thing to do. Took a sip and could feel the burning down her throat and esophagus. So there's a very important reminder I want to tell you about essential oils, and that is less is more. Even one drop may have been too much. So I like to teach that you can use the toothpick method when cooking with essential oils. Just take a toothpick and dip it into the oil of choice and then swirl that around in the dish you're making. And keep doing that until you reach the desired taste. The second event occurred when I was preparing a spring pea soup with mint for an event at my home. So while shopping for the ingredients, I found that the store was out of fresh mint. And what was I thinking anyway? I then remembered that I had other resources and used my peppermint essential oil in the preparation of that dish. Again, the less is more rule applied. I took out a 2-cup sampling from the 30 cups of soup and added 1 drop to the bowl, and it was overpowering. I wound up only using 2 drops in the entire pot to create a wonderfully flavorful soup with just the right hint of mint. And I'll be sharing that recipe with you via email. So let's learn some more about peppermint. When we talk about peppermint essential oil uses, we aren't talking about mints, gum, or candy canes. Really, it's quite fascinating and somewhat sad that peppermint is so commonly associated with sweet treats rather than medicinal benefits. Aside from lavender, peppermint essential oil may be the most versatile of all of our options, and yet we've limited it to Santa Claus and toothpaste. So on this slide, peppermint, or Mentha piperita, is a hybrid combination of watermint and spearmint, and it grows prolifically. In fact, it can take over like a weed. The aerial parts of the flowers and the leaves are harvested for the essential oil production, which is conducted using steam distillation. At this point, active ingredients typically include menthone at about 20%, and menthol is roughly 40%. So you're probably wondering why I have a picture of Pluto here, but we'll learn about that. So historically, peppermint dates back as one of the oldest medicinal herbs used in Europe, an ancient remedy for both Chinese and Japanese cultures, and in Egyptian medicine. And they've even found it in several Egyptian pyramids. Myth has it that Pluto, who was the god of the underworld, fell passionately in love with a lovely nymph by the name of Mentha. Pluto's wife, Persephone, became extremely jealous and tried to destroy Mentha by fiercely pounding her into the earth. It's said that the god Pluto, bereaved by his loss, then elevated the spirit of Mentha by bestowing upon her tremendous fragrant and restorative healing powers to soothe and to mend. So there we have our peppermint. You'll see here a slide of a stomach, and we're going to talk a little bit about irritable bowel syndrome. But there have been hundreds of studies on essential oils and thousands about menthol. In a 2012 study out of Clayton State University, they tested peppermint oil's ability to reduce post-operative nausea and vomiting. That's generally occurring as a common side effect after general anesthesia. About 1/3 of all people undergoing surgery suffer from this condition at various degrees of intensity. The study evaluated how 34 mothers responded to this ancient aromatherapy and discovered that peppermint essential oil was not only quite effective in reducing postoperative nausea and vomiting, it significantly lowered the sickness levels of participants compared to women who receive standard anti-nausea medications. New research has found peppermint can improve antibiotic resistance and help heal your body from the overuse of prescription antibiotics and other chemicals that affect your body. This is probably part of the reason it is so effective in treating IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome. There is currently an enrolling study taking place at Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital at Harvard Medical School. And the purpose of this study is to investigate placebo effects and peppermint oil in irritable bowel syndrome. So that's an ongoing study. They're still enrolling patients, so we won't have the results of that one for a while. But a combined medical study of all the literature on peppermint's ability to cure IBS was just published this last July, and they combined 9 studies. And what their outcome was that peppermint oil was found to be significantly superior to placebo for overall improvement of IBS symptoms and improvement in abdominal pain. They concluded that peppermint oil is a safe and effective short-term treatment for IBS, which I think is great to have that available and have an option. So there's so many things you can say about peppermint. There are really hundreds of things, but I've narrowed it down to about 10. So we'll go over those. First one I want to talk about is muscle pain relief. So peppermint essential oil is a very effective natural painkiller and muscle relaxant. It is especially helpful in soothing an aching back, sore muscles, and melting away tension headaches. Studies show that peppermint oil applied topically has pain relief benefits associated with fibromyalgia and myofascial pain syndrome. The study also found that peppermint oil, eucalyptus, menthol, capsaicin, and other herbal preparations may be helpful. Now I'll talk a little bit about reducing hunger cravings. So if you inhale peppermint essential oil, it can stave off the munchies and can help you feel full faster. If you don't have a diffuser that you want to use at dinner time, try applying just a couple of drops on your temples or chest. And if you're putting it on your temples, remember to close your eyes because peppermint's very powerful. Or take a couple of deep sniffs from the bottle or put them in your hands and take a deep, deep breath. And that can help with the hunger cravings. It's also a natural energizer. So for a non-toxic alternative to dangerous energy drinks, take a few whiffs of peppermint. It will perk you up on long road trips. And I can tell you myself, I have a sleeping disorder. And that's one of the things that helps me survive is on a long trip is to keep my bottle of peppermint close by and sniff it along the way. In school or any other time, you need to burn the midnight oil. In fact, I have a bottle next to me that I've been sniffing while preparing this. For those with chronic fatigue syndrome, peppermint oil may improve focus and concentration. Has anyone out there ever used peppermint for that, for focus and concentration?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have.
I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I use it with eucalyptus and diffuse it. It's quite nice.
Sounds great. Okay. So a little bit about allergy relief. So peppermint oil is highly effective at relaxing muscles in your nasal passages and can help clear out the muck and pollen during allergy season. Diffusing peppermint along with clove oil and eucalyptus oil can also reduce allergy symptoms. So I haven't tried that combination, but I take a nasal inhaler and I add equal parts of peppermint, lavender, and lemon. And that's really very helpful for me for seasonal allergies. So there's lots of combinations, and peppermint's one of those great inclusion oils. Now, as a fever reducer, so, because of peppermint, it's very cooling. So it's an excellent natural treatment to bring down a fever, especially in children. So what you can do is mix some peppermint oil with some coconut oil. I would probably put maybe 2 drops to maybe a tablespoon of coconut oil and rub it onto your child's neck or at the bottom of their feet. And it certainly helps bring down the fever. Lily, I know you've done that, haven't you, to bring down a fever?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Many times, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
The thing that I've found with that, though, is that, you have to do it, maybe like every 2 hours or so if you're really in the throes of the fever,
right. Yeah, I'm going to talk
But
about that a little later about how long the oil lasts and when you have to
Mhm.
reapply.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, okay. So headaches. Peppermint oil has the ability to improve circulation, heal the gut, and relax tense muscles. So all of these conditions can cause tension headaches or migraines, making peppermint oil an excellent natural treatment. A study from researchers at the Neurological Clinic at the University of Kiel in Germany found that a combination of oils, including peppermint oil, had significant analgesic effects with a reduction in sensitivity to headaches. So they applied it to the forehead and the temples for pain relief. So I know, Irma, you've had your experiences using peppermint oil.
Yes, yeah, with my migraines on the temples and behind the neck.
Yeah. So I've tried it. I know it does work.
Well, the interesting thing for me with my migraines is that if I catch it, literally, if I catch it right as I feel it coming on, and I say, "Just do this, Irma. Just do this. Take care of yourself," and then lie down for 15 minutes, and then I'm in a very, very good place. And typically, it will not be a full-blown migraine.
Mhm.
Which is wonderful. If
Yeah.
anyone's ever had migraines, they'll understand why. So let's talk a little bit about improve your bloating and indigestion. So peppermint oil has been established as a natural alternative to drugs like Buscopan. So Buscopan is used for spasms and so relaxation. It reduces spasms of the colon. So it works by relaxing the muscles of your intestines, which can also reduce bloating and gas. So you could try some peppermint tea, put a drop in even hot water or in your tea that's made up.
Mm.
And you could add a drop to water before your meals and just sip on the peppermint for a while and see if that can prevent it from starting in the first place.
And if you use it topically, will it have the same reaction?
I would think so, because it's still getting into your body. Where I would do it for that, I would put a little bit on my belly.
Mm-hmm. So I know if I use Digees, if I'm feeling bloated, that works almost immediately.
Right, and the
Yeah.
Digees has peppermint in it and a bunch of other wonderful oils.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. So staying in our frame of indigestion and bloating, we're going to talk about reducing nausea. So a medical study found that peppermint oil reduced nausea that is induced by chemotherapy better than standard medical treatments. Simply adding a drop of peppermint oil to water or rubbing 1 or 2 drops behind your ears or diffusing it can help reduce that nausea. Okay. A little bit about respiratory benefits. Peppermint essential oil has the ability to open your airways and act as a decongestant. So mix it with coconut oil and eucalyptus oil to make a homemade vapor rub. So instead of going out and buying Vicks Vapor Rub, which is using petroleum oil products in there, you can help reduce the symptoms of asthma and bronchitis. So you can make your own. And so improving mental focus, we sort of talked about that a little bit already, but it's great, like if you need to memorize something or need to study, take a whiff of your peppermint oil. Say you go to sleep, the next day use your peppermint oil, and it can help bring that memory back to you. So I just wanted to mention, I think I just like the picture of the mosquito, but I wanted to mention about peppermint oil repelling bugs. I use that in my homemade bug repellent that I make. But a study that was published out of Israel last year compared how 7 different commercial bug repellents fared against each other. The all-natural essential oil mosquito repellent, which is a blend of cinnamon, clove, geranium, peppermint, and lemongrass was tied as the most effective repellent compared to Off, the commercial product, which is loaded with, you know, many chemicals such as DEET. I'm not sure if it's still in there, but I think it used to be. A further study showed that peppermint oil resulted in, this is where you were talking about, Lily, that you have to reapply. So it resulted in 150 minutes of complete protection time against the mosquitoes. And they only used 0.1 milliliters. That's a very tiny little bit of oil onto the arms of a person that they were researching with. But they noted that after the 150 minutes, that efficacy of the peppermint oil decreased and needed to be reapplied. So peppermint oil is a volatile component, so that it will evaporate. So it just lasts so long, and you just have to reapply. So if that's considered a downside, I still think the upside is using the natural product as compared to some of the chemicals. And then, so just wanted to share with you the two products that Young Living has. The original peppermint, which comes in a 15 milliliter bottle, and the Vitality, which comes in a 5 milliliter bottle. You can see the prices are there. And the difference between the original and the peppermint, it's the same exact oil. The Vitality is really for marketing purposes, so that people can easily identify oils that are safe to ingest. So it's great that, you know, the whole line of Vitality products, you know that it's okay to ingest them. And then my last slide just gives you my personal information, how you can contact me and reach out to me. So I send that out, so I hope people know how to do it anyway, but I'll make sure it's in emails that reach you. And I've just opened up my private Facebook group that's called Vicki Loves Oils. If you go to Facebook and request to be part of it, I'd love to have you join. And that's where we can have conversations, you can ask questions, and we can keep our education continuing on the wonderful essential oils. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then we can have a little conversation think about what your takeaway was for this presentation, and tell me what you have any questions or thoughts about peppermint oil. So any takeaways?
Well, my takeaway is let's make some bug spray.
Absolutely.
And I'm just even wondering about, because I was walking the doggy and the grass was tall, and I thought, uh-oh, ticks.
Big time.
So, yeah. So is peppermint oil good for ticks?
Peppermint oil is good for ticks. I still believe that no matter what you use, you have to check your body once you've been out in the woods.
Right.
So, and be smart and prepare, you know, try to cover up if you're going through high grasses.
Right. I realized my ankles, even though I felt covered up, there was a little gap between my my sock and my pants. It's like, oh, that's where they could go.
I think it's really important to just do body checks.
Yes.
And a new tick was just found in Bucks County that comes from Asia. So it's another tick we have to worry about. So I don't know. They're doing some studies to find out if they see any more of them.
A new tick from Asia?
A new tick that they found that's from Asia, so they're not sure how it got here.
Well, I mean, so easy.
Somebody could travel back with it or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but we always have to be aware of ticks because they do carry disease, not just Lyme disease, but other kinds of diseases.
Yeah. So I was the recipient of that the pea soup with a little bit of the peppermint oil in it, and it was so incredibly yummy, so incredibly yummy. And what I found is that it was very easy to digest for me.
Really?
Yeah, there was no problem, and I have a very sensitive stomach, so it was easy going down, very comforting, because it had a thickness to it naturally that was very comforting. Right,
because it was just vegetables. It was peas and carrots and celery and onions, and then some peppermint oil with some vegetable broth. That was it.
Taste the celery, which is also very interesting. But the color, the image that you have of the color of the soup, that was brilliant, because that did match the color of the soup.
Yeah.
And it's so nice to have this at this time of the year as the new green is coming forward. And, when you drive around in the country, and it just is mind-boggling how
Right.
beautiful things are right now as everything's popping. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Glad you enjoyed that.
Yeah. And would like to have that soup again.
We'll do that again. Yes. That's a good one to keep, in the freezer for those moments when you need to pull it out.
And it freezes well. Yeah.
I expect it to. I haven't had any of the soups that we've made not freeze well.
Right.
They all do.
Yeah. And that was the soup that we had for our Kindred event that everyone just was like, oh, so good. So good.
Yeah.
But what was nice was the peppermint, there was that hint of it, but it didn't take away the other flavors from the vegetables,
Right.
which was the nice part. So that's why the toothpick method is so useful, that you can be careful, not, if you shake it like a bottle like that, you're never going to be happy.
No.
Not with any oil. So
no.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that I had a doctor's appointment today, and I walked into the doctor's office, and they were diffusing essential oils. And
yay!
Oh,
wonderful.
It does. I think it sets the tone, and
it does
certainly put you in a better place if you're going to. I wonder if they are doing a little study to see if there's white coat syndrome with and without essential oils.
That's a really good point. You were talking about the inhalers. Can you see? This is the inhaler that Vicki was talking about.
So you can buy those online. They have a little cotton pad inside, a little cylindrical. You put your oils right on there. And I think it's a great way, especially if you're traveling, you can stick it in your purse or your pocket and pull it out. And it doesn't bother anyone else because no one else can smell it.
How do you take this off? Does it pop off?
It pops off the bottom.
Okay.
I would get up, but
I have to work this. But
yeah,
this is actually almost 7 months old, and it still has fragrance in it.
Right.
Which is really incredible. Yeah. So it's nice to have in your pocketbook, especially with the allergies. And people are getting hit pretty hard this year with allergies already.
Yes, they are. So there were a couple combinations mentioned, and you find the combination that works best for you.
Right. This one is lavender, peppermint, and lemon.
Yes.
So it's 1 drop of each or 2 drops of each?
No, I put about 4 drops of each.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Right. And blend them together. That can also be put into a capsule and ingested with some carrier oil in there, such as could be fractionated coconut oil or olive oil or whatever, because you don't want to do essential oils in a capsule without some kind of carrier oil, because you're ingesting it, you want it to have some kind of coating,
right? Not
to upset anybody's stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've also, in fact, what I drink every day is my bottle of water, and I put spearmint in it. Just a drop, 2 drops in this liter. Mm-hmm. This is a liter, I think. And it is just very soothing to me and refreshing. Yeah. And it's almost as if it's a cold drink, but it's not, because I don't like cold drinks, but it has that kind of refreshing flavor to it.
Well, that's the cooling effect of the mint.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So it's great. And in the summertime, I didn't mention that, but it's nice to take a spray bottle and put a couple drops of peppermint, fill it up with water. And if you're outside and it's really hot or whatever, just spray around your neck and it'll cool you down.
Yeah. And keep the bugs away.
And keep the bugs away.
So keep the flies away. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one thing that what bug really hates peppermint are ants. So
flies.
Usually in the spring we have these tiny little baby ants that will come in. So I would say, line up some peppermint around the edges where you think the ants are coming from to try to keep them from bothering you.
Also flies, Vicki. And
flies, yes. Flies don't like it either.
Make up some old rags or that are torn, and you can kind of make something that can hang in the area around a window or something and saturate it with peppermint, and it'll keep them away. I did that on the porch one year. But I just want to share something because I'm going to be doing an event this weekend with, and peppermint's going to be one of the oils that is going to be highlighted. So I'm giving out, and there'll be a lot of people, and I decided to just put a few drops of the oil on a little cotton pad and put it in a little snack bag,
Mhm.
so folks will have their own. They'll have 4 different oils to smell from the snack bag. But I made up the peppermint on Monday,
Mhm.
and I just, before we started, I just found the little baggie that I had it in, and it's amazing how strong it is. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sitting here sniffing it as we're talking, and
That's
it's
great.
just
So you don't have to wait till the last
wonderful.
minute. You know it'll last.
Mm-hmm.
I bet
It
it'll last
lasts,
a really long
and
time.
it's so easy to carry because it's so light. It doesn't take up any space, and I mean, I just have transformed my whole attention span just sitting here sniffing on my lavender and listening to you talking about it. It's amazing because it's like, oh, I've got so much to do, and I feel
How
like
much you'll get done tonight? You'll get it all done.
right. I know. It's like, oh, I just want to go lay down for a bit, but now I feel like so energized. And thank you for reminding me about the tea because I'm going to make that also, and which is, I rarely make the peppermint tea with the essential oil peppermint, so I'm excited to do that, and I'm really excited to get this recipe for this fabulous looking soup here. Oh my God, it looks
Okay.
wonderful.
I will,
Yeah,
I will get it to you.
yeah. And the other thing, my takeaway was hunger. I had, that just
Yeah.
slipped by me. I didn't
Right.
know that it can control your appetite like that. That's really good to know. I know some of the citrus oils do. I mean, like grapefruit, for instance, which is
Grapefruit
sort of
is known to do that. Yes.
common knowledge. Yeah, but I'd forgotten about peppermint, so that's really great to know. Thank you so much. And also that it's relaxing to the muscles in the colon, to the
Mhm.
spasms in the colon. That is really, thank you so much for saying that. I mean, I didn't make that association. I knew about, the irritable bowel,
Mhm.
but I didn't put it together about,
Why?
releasing the muscle. Yeah.
So,
So,
and if you're going to apply it to your stomach, again, I recommend putting it in an oil and then rubbing it in
right.
your stomach. Because you never know your skin if it's going to be sensitive to any of these oils. So
Right.
always try to dilute them if you're placing them on your skin.
And don't ever put it in bath water.
No, don't put it in bath water because
No,
some of the mucous
I've
membranes of your body may feel the same.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard some funny and not so funny stories about that. I mean,
Right.
really, but
Yes.
yeah, best to if you want it while you're bathing, diffuse it, but don't put it in the water.
That's a great tip, Lily. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I just want to
Mm,
thank you for being here tonight. I hope you've learned something new, and I look forward to seeing people back in 2 weeks on May the 10th at the same time, 7 o'clock, where we'll have another fascinating conversation.
Great.
Thank you, Vicki.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful night.
All right.
Thank you so much, Vicki. Really
You're welcome.
appreciate it.
Bye
Thank
now.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.